Hello, each and everyone, and we are discussing about the history of the education. So this is the third part of the about the history of the education. So Northobia, we are discussing here. Northobia has a great impact and involvement um, in the advancement of the education in the China. So Northopia was formed as a center of the religious learning and arts. Initially, the kingdom was involved by the monks from the Siluritic church, which led to the flowering of the monastic life. And Northumbria played an important role in the formation of the Islamic art, a unique style combining Anglo-Saxon, Celtic, Bromantic, and other elements like this. After the synod of the Wittobi, Roman Church practices officially replaced by the Celtic ones, but the influence of the Anglo-Celtic style confused. The most famous examples of this being the London Farm Gospels and the Venerable Bede, and the road his historic Eclodian giants, Eclothiop, and many things other like this. It's very interesting facts about the Chinese education system, and we now are discussing about the Bede's venerable Bede age, that was about 673 to 735, and wrote his Historia Eclodia Genius and Throlba. And we are also discussing about the history of the English people, and completed in the 731 AD in the Northobian monastery, and the much of it focuses on the kingdom during the region of the Charlemagne, king of the Franks, from 768 to 814 AD, whose empire united most of the Western Europe. One of the first time since the Romans, there was a flowering of the literature, art, and the architecture known as the Colangian Resonance, brought it to the contact with the culture and the learning of other Scroptria and centers for the books copying in Francia. Most of the surviving works of the classical Latin were copied and preserved by the Lithuanian scholars. Uh, Challenge took a serious interest in the scholarship, promoting the liberal art at the court, ordering that his children and the grandchildren be well educated, and even studying himself under the tutelage of the Paul and the Deacon, from whom he learned grammar, Eclogian. With the home he studied rhetoric and dialect of the astronomy. He was particularly interested in the movements of the stars. The in Hard, who assisted him in his studies of the arithmetic. The English monk Eclogian was invited to enhance his monastic and the Northumbria. The return of this Latin prophecy of the kingdom of the Franks is regarded as an important steps in the development of the medieval Latin, and Chernobyl chancery made use of a type of script currently known as Carolingian ministry, providing a common writing style that allowed for communicating across most of the Europe. After the decline of the Carolingian dynasty, the rise of the Saxon dynasty in the Europe was across about the Europe. After the decline of the Carolingian dynasty, the rise of the Saxon dynasty in Germany was accompanied by the Ottonian Resonance. Now, additionally, Charlemagne attempted to establish a free elementary education by Paris priest for the youth in the Capitolary of 797. The Capitolary states that the priest established schools in every town and the village, and if any of the faithful wish to entrust their students, their children to them to learn letters, that they are to faithful wish to entrust their children to them to learn letters, that they refuse not to accept them, but with all charity teach them, and let them exact no price from the children for their teaching, to nor receive anything from their save what parents may offer voluntary and from affection, like SPL or CV, that's name also known as call. 196. And cathedral schools and the monasteries remained important throughout the Middle Ages. At the Third Lateran Council of the 1179, the church mandated that the priests provide the opportunity of the free education to their flocks, and the 12th and the 13th century resonance known as the scholastic movement was spread through the monasteries. However, ceased to be the sole source of the education in the 11th century. Village universities, which grew out of the monasticism, began to the establishment of the major urban cities. Literacy became valuable to a wider class of the people. With their There were major advances in the art, sculpture, and music and architecture. Obviously, in 1120, the Tulipism obey in Scotland by order of the Milesian Khmer and his queen Margaret built his establishment, the first high school in the UK, and the Dufemia High School, the highlighted the monastery influence and the development made by the education from the ancient capital of the Scotland. Sculpture, painting, and the stained glass windows were vital educational media through with them Babylonian themes and the lives of the saints were taught to the illiterate viewers. So now we are discussing about the Islamic world, about the education of the Islamic world. The main contribution all over the world about the education is of Islamic world. This is a great thing about Islam, and Islam appreciate this. And the main, if you are interested into read and learn more about Islamic education, you can move out to the main article, that is madrasa. Okay, and see also Marathian and Ijaza. Okay, and the University of Al Qaryana, located in Fez, that is also known as present in Morocco, is the oldest existing continually operating and the first degree awarding educational institute in the world according to the UNESCO and the Guinness World Record, and is sometimes referred to as the oldest university. The House of that is also known as House of Wisdom in Baghdad. In Baghdad was a library translation and education center from the 9th to the 13th century. Works on astrology, mathematics, agriculture, medicine, and philosophy were translated. Dying on the Persian, Indian, and the Greek, about the taxes, about the social hierarchy, about the social networks, about social content, education, and other Islamic teachings that were taught in the Baghdad. Baghdad at that time was a center of education for each and everyone there. Okay, and the education at the Baghdad was free for each and everyone, and Baghdad was one of the richest, but I will say that was the richest city of in the Arabian area, and excluding those of the Pythagoras, Plato, and the Greek taxis. Plato, Aristotle, Hippocrates, Euclidean, Plotinus, Galen, Shustra, built on it to the chakra, to the Arbahat, Aryabhata, and Brahmu Gupta, and the scholars accumulated a great collection of the knowledge in the world and built on it through their own discoveries. The house was an unrivalled center for the study of the humanities and for the world richest city, and the center for the intellectual development of the time, and had a population of over a million, that largest in that time and in its time. The Islamic mosque, school, madrasa taught the Quran in the Arabic and did not all resemble the medieval European universities. In the 19th century, with most medical schools were found in the medieval Islamic world, where the medieval diplomas were issued to the students of the Islamic medicine who were qualified to be the practicing doctor of medicine. Al Azhar University, founded in the Cairo, that is in Egypt in 1975, and is also the capital of Egypt, and is very famous that is also very famous for the pyramids of Egypt. Was a Jimel University at that time, and was a variety of the post graduate degrees, had a madrasa and the theoretical seminary, and taught Islamic law, Islamic judiciary, Islamic and Islamic teachings, Arabic grammar, Islamic astronomy, early Islamic philosophy and logic, and Islamic philosophy. And under the Ottoman Empire, the towns of the Bursa and Idarne became major centers of learning in the 15th and 16th century. The town of Timpu was one of the greatest in the West African nation, and that has a great accomplishment and great involvement in the decoration and in the improvement of the Islamic education in the Arabic world. And in the 15th 16th century, the town of the Timoshenko was one of the educational center for the world's people. And in the 15th 16th century, the town of Timbuktu in the West Africa nation of Mali became the Islamic center of the learning, with the students coming from as far away in the Middle East. The town was home to the prestigious Sankora University of Other Madrasa. The primary focus on the establishment and teaching of the Quran, establishment on the Islamic behavior of the children and students through the broader instruction in the fields such as the logic, astronomy, and the history also took place. Over time, there was a great accumulation of the manuscripts in the area, and estimated 100,000 or more manuscripts, some of them dated from the Islamic times and 12th century, and kept by the great families from the town. Their contents are diplomatic, especially in the subject of the astronomy, music, and the botany. More than 118,000 manuscripts have been collected by the Ahmed Baba Center. And now we are studying about the China's history of education. If you are interested more in Chinese education system, you can check out this main article, that is the history of the education in China and the history of the education in Taiwan. Okay, now without wasting time, we are going towards and searching for the Chinese history. And although there were more than 40,000 Chinese characters in the written Chinese, may be rarely used. Studies have shown that full literacy in the Chinese language requires a knowledge of the only between 3 and the 4,000 characters. In China, 3 oral texts were used to teach children by rote memorization and write characters of their language, and basis of the Confucian thoughts. And a thousand characters classical Chinese poem originating in the 6th century was used for more than a millennium as a premier for teaching Chinese characters for the school for the children. The poem is composed of 250 phrases for 4,000 for 4 characters, each thus containing exactly 1,000 unique characters, and was sung in the same way that the children learning the Latin alphabets may use the alphabet song. Later, children also learned the 100 family surnames, a rhyming poem in the lines of the 8 characters composed in the early Song dynasty. It is about in the 11th century, which actually listed more than 400 of the common surnames in the ancient China. From around the 13th century until the part of the 19th century, the three-character classic, which is an embodiment of the Confucian thoughts suitable for the teaching to the young children, served as the child first formal education at home. And the text is written in the triplet of characters for the easy memorization, which literally come for the most people at the time. The oral tradition and the recitation of the classical encouraged its popularity and the survival through the centuries. With the short and the simple text arranged in the three character verses, children learn many common characters, grammar, structures, elements of the Chinese history, and the basics of the Confucian morality. And this was all about the Chinese civilization. We will also history of the China's education. We will also discuss more about the history of the Chinese education in the part four of this video series. Okay, and